Okay, so what we're gonna do now, um, in these few sets of videos, I don't know how many it's gonna be, but we're going to build a database, a movie database, okay, and we're going to start writing queries on it. Now I have uh, a data model already built, and I'm going to use that so you can follow along with me. This database has 15 movies in it, and I encourage you, once you build out what I have here, I encourage you to add more movies to it, as well as other data that you'll need in order to have a good quality, successful working database that you can write queries on. So I'm going to share my screen. And so this is what I have right here. And in this data model, I have a movie table. I have a genre table, production, director, streaming platform, and I have an actor table. And also, what's different than uh, the database that we use in these slide lessons is this table also has pivot tables. So I have a movie to streaming, I have a movie to actor, movie to genre, and movie to director. So what these pivot tables do is it connects the actor to a movie, likewise the genre to a movie, etc. So let's get started with this. What I'm going to do is I'm going to come over here. I'm going to back out of this space. So if I am my present directory, if I type PWD, that's going to tell me my present working directory is. And right now I'm in album 25db. So what I want to do is I want to leave album 25db and go back into DBM for database management. And so again, change directory is how we change locations. So I'm going to type CD, but I can't say CD DBM. That's not going to work, because what it's going to do is going to look inside the DBM folder or DBM directory for a DBM directory, and it's not going to find one. So if I want to go back out to DBM, the command or what I type for that is // and that's going to take me out of my present working directory and go up one level. And so now when I do that and I type pwd, you see there I am in DBM. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to make a new directory. So make dir. I'm going to call this movie 25db. Also, if you want to do this just by creating a folder, a new folder inside of your DBM folder, that's perfectly fine. You don't have to do it this way. I like to go through the terminal and create my files and folders. That's how I like to do things, so I can feel like a true developer and crack the mainframe. uh, if I could just bypass the code and I can crack the mainframe, then we can get all the data, blah, blah, blah. I like to do that. So anyways, so I created my movie 25db. Now I'm going to go in there. So I'm going to say cd movie 25db. There, I'm in there. And here I need to create two files. Again, I'm going to create a data.sql, and I'm going to create a schema.sql. And also for this, I'm also going to write, and this is a little, I haven't seen this before, so I don't know if it's unconventional or not. I'm going to write a query.sql, and that's where I'm going to write all my queries for this. All right, got that open, and now I'm going to open up Visual Studio Code, and there I have it, my movie 25db, my data.sql file, query.sql file, and schema.sql file. So if you want to do that, excuse me, if you want to do that a different way, by all means, go ahead and do that. I like to do it inside of my terminal. All right, so here we go. We're going to start off in our schema.sql file. All right, so we're going to build out the schema. Now, if you recall from the lessons and the slides, I'm not going to start off with the movie table because my movie table, it needs information from one of my other tables, in particular, my production table. So my production table, you see here I have a production ID, and that is going to point to the production table. So I can't build out this movie table just yet. I'm going to start off with genre, production, director, streaming platform, and then actor. And then after those, then build out the movie table. And then we'll build out the pivot tables after that. All right. So that's the plan. So let's start off with genre. But before we do that, the very first thing we got to do, because we're starting from scratch, is we want to make sure. So I'm going to say drop database if exists. I want to make sure that I don't have a database by the same name. So I'm going to say movie DB. So drop database. Let me zoom in and make that a little bit larger, because I know some people may struggle with reading that, and I don't want you to. So drop database if exists movie DB. And then after that, we're going to create database movie DB. And then lastly, we're going to use movie DB. Always start, well, I'm not going to say always, but when you're building from scratch, you always start off with these 3 lines, okay? That's if you're building from scratch. If you're not building from scratch, if you're working with the database that already exists, and know that it exists, that's the one you want to work with, you don't use those lines. Okay. So I'm going to come over here. You see we have the lesson still up. It's not going to affect anything. I'm going to paste, hit enter. Okay. And so now database changed. I know that I'm working in my movie DB database. All right. Cool. All right. So let's start off by building out these tables. All right. So we're going to start off again with, let's start off with genre. Okay. So I'm going to say create table. Name this table genre. Let me add my semicolon there at the bottom. And the first thing I'm going to have is a genre ID. So I'm going to say genre ID. I'll make this tiny int. And although genre can get really long and weird, that's so create table genre ID tiny int. I'm going to set this to be auto increment. Also not null, but I need to add something else, tiny int unsigned. So genre ID, tiny int, unsigned, auto increment, not null. Cool. Put a comma right there. Now list the genre. For this, I'll say varchar. We'll just go with 30. Don't think I need more than that. I'm also going to add a date created. I'm going to try to remember to do that for all these tables, a date created and last update. I just like to track that. Date created, that is going to be timestamp, and default will be current timestamp. And then I would like to add last update. That will also be timestamp, and then default current timestamp, and then on update current timestamp. Cool. And last thing I want to add for this table is I'm going to say constraint. I'm going to add a constraint to this. I'm going to say PK underscore genre. That'll be the name of it. Primary key, it being the primary key. Primary key is going to be genre underscore ID. There it is. It's got all the things that it needs. We're giving it the genre ID, which is going to be its unique identifier. We got a genre field in there. We got date created, last update, and a constraint setting genre ID as a primary key. Let's copy this and paste it, see if it works. And again, with the schema, I always like to do those one at a time. And that worked okay. Cool. So pause the video right here. Check your spelling. Check your syntax, making sure commas are in the correct place. Make sure, you're not misspelling anything that could, damage it. So check all that before you move on to the next one, okay? And if you, again, pause it if you need to. Next is production. So I'm going to create table production. And we'll have a production ID. I'll make this small int, unsigned, auto increment, not null. We'll have the production name. Say varchar. I'll make this one 60. Same thing. I'll just do a date created. Matter of fact, I'm going to make this simple on myself. I'm just going to copy that right there, paste it. If we wanted to, we could add some other stuff like what year the company was founded, who was founded by, if we want to. We could even include, if we could get the data, how many movies are produced under that, have been produced under that particular company. A lot of stuff that we could do. Okay, all that to say, we could do the top movies from this production company, because maybe a user wants to look that up. They want to look up, MGM and see what its highest grossing films were, or what its flops were even. Whatever you want to set that up to do, you can do it. Okay, you just need to have the data and know how to write your schema out. But I'm going to stick with this. Okay, constraint PK production primary key is going to be production underscore ID. Don't forget your semicolon. Remember, after each statement in MySQL, you need to have a semicolon. Should be okay. Let me paste it. Yep. And director. Now for director, what I am going to do is, instead of just having the director listed like so, I am going to have a director's first name and last name as well. I'm going to do that change it up just a little bit from the data model. So we're going to create table director, because what if I want to find directors, if I want to sort through them based on their last name or their first name, what have you. So we need to say director ID. I'm going to make this small int. Unsigned, auto increment, not null. And we'll have the first name. So I'm going to type out first underscore name like so. Varchar, I use 30. Last name, again, Varchar 30. And then the date created, last update, etc. And then I'm going to make my constraint. PK director primary key director ID. There we go. Copy that and paste it. Again, check your spelling, check your syntax. That's usually where the errors are when you make them. We got director, streaming platform. Create table streaming platform. And again, here, because I'm using two words, streaming and platform, I need to make sure that I'm using an underscore here. That does matter. Okay, you cannot have streaming space platform. You'll have too many arguments and it's going to ask you to rewrite it. So, and streaming platform ID, I know it's long, but it's going to pay off. TinyInt, unsigned, auto increment, not null. And then streaming platform. Varchar, let's go with 30. Copy this date created last update. Let me not forget my comma right there. Cool. Constraint PK. I just say PK streaming. Shorten that up a little bit for you all. Primary key. Did I misspell primary? I did. Primary key. Streaming platform ID. Copy that. Paste that as well. So we got the genre, we got the production, we got the director, we got the streaming platform. Now the actor. And so the actor, we see we have first name, last name, image URL. I think what I would like to do for the actor, no, I'm not going to do it. I was thinking add an alias as well, because, you know, some actors like to go by an alias. And I don't mean specifically like Charlie Sheen, you know, his government name, his birth name is not Charlie Sheen. Was it Carlos Estevez? He's a Spaniard. That documentary on Netflix. Whoo-wee. Charlie's a wild boy. But no, what I mean by alias is something like, I don't know, The Rock or Ice Cube. I'm not gonna use that. I was thinking about it, but I'm not gonna do that. So we'll use these right here: the actor ID, first name, last name, and the image URL in case we want to have, the actor's headshot posted in our database. So we'll say create table actor. Actor underscore ID. I'm gonna make this medium int. I know that one's kind of big. So medium int unsigned, auto increment, not null, and then the first name, varchar 30. Sure I did this. Yeah, okay. I was just checking to see if I did the same thing for the director. But last name, still varchar 30. Image URL. So I'm gonna say image URL. I'm gonna use the blob for that. And then I'm gonna copy date created last update. All right. And then constraint. PK actor, primary key, actor ID. Copy that. Paste it. Cool. And now that I got those, I can do my movie table. So let's do that. Create table movie. First thing we have is the movie ID. I don't remember what we put here. I think we put medium int. Okay, yeah. So medium int unsigned auto increment not null. Okay. What is next? I believe it's the title. Yep. Title to varchar 100. We can set this to be not null because what we don't want is we don't want to have a movie listed that doesn't have a title. I think we want to specify that movie title it cannot be null. What's next? Rating. Okay. So rating. And here we're going to use enum. Okay. Now enum handles constraints for characters. Okay. So what I mean by that is these had to be written as strings. So in other words, each one has its own quotations like so. So enum G, PG, PG 13. And remember to separate them by commas. R, NC 17. And we'll say NR. And we'll also add, well, we won't. I was thinking added approve because as someone mentioned, we were building this data model last week. Movies before the current rating system that we have, they would get a rating of approved, and that was basically, I guess, covered. Well, I don't think it would cover R because that was different, but it's just basically saying, hey, yeah, this movie's approved, so nothing potty in there. Anyways, so we have a system here. So our enum, and then what we're going to do is we're going to set our default to be not rated. All right. Yep. I'm not certain why that's why it's looking like that. It should work. You know, I don't know what it is with Visual Studio Code and like the MySQL extension that I use, but the stuff pops up, but they're not actually errors. So I don't know. Anyways, what's next? Runtime. Runtime, and that is going to be just simply time. Nationality. Nationality. And that is going to be, we're going to use char for that, and not 30, but 3. So in other words, each nation will be represented by 3 letters, kind of like what they do in, you know, when you watch the Olympics or whatever. Year released. That's year. Year underscore released. We'll use year for that. The budget. And for budget, we used int unsigned. And then I hear I have profit, but I think what we want to do is like gross. So what did the movie gross? Not what its profit was. So we'll say gross, and we use int for that, and we'll make that signed. So, or gross would be unsigned. Yeah, that would be unsigned. If we were doing a profit, then that could be signed, because that would it could be, you know, they took a loss, what have you. So budget, int unsigned, gross, int unsigned. And then production ID. And again, production ID needs to be whatever we use for production table, which is small int. We'll say small int unsigned. Okay. Here we have showing. So this is basically saying, hey, it's either went to theaters or direct to TV. We'll just stick with that. So we'll say showing. Okay. We'll set that to be enum. And we say theater. And then direct to TV. And we'll set the default to be theater. And then lastly, the poster. And we'll just call it poster. And set that to be blob. All right, cool. And last thing we need, let me not forget, because I was really about to forget. Let's copy date create and last update. All right, there we go. Now our constraints. So constraint, say PK underscore movie. Primary key is going to be movie underscore ID. And then we only have one other constraint, and that's the production ID. So we'll say that's a foreign key. So we'll say constraint FK production. Yeah, that's fine. And I'll say is a foreign key. Say foreign key production ID references the production table production ID. And that should be it. Let's check it out. Woo! Worked the first time. I didn't know if that was going to happen or not. All right, cool. So all those tables are done. And now we need to do our pivot tables. And we have 1, 2, 3, 4 pivot tables. So these are done the same. So it's going to be pretty easy. So I'm going to say create table. First one I'm going to do is say movie to streaming. I'll do that one first. Movie to streaming. And I'm going to say movie ID. That needs to be medium int unsigned. Medium int unsigned, also not null. That cannot be null. And then the streaming platform. So I'll say what did I name it? Streaming platform ID. Yep. Streaming platform ID. Same thing. It needs to be the same, which is tiny int unsigned not null. Tiny int unsigned not null. And then we need to start our constraints. So constraint FK, I'm going to name this movie or MOV STR because I'm going to be using that movie ID as a foreign key in different tables. So I have to specify, give this one its own unique name. So FK movie move STR foreign key foreign key what is it, movie ID references movie underscore ID. Oh. And then constraint FK, I'll call it STR to move foreign key. You got to be a little clever sometimes when naming your foreign keys, or at least that's what I have to do. Streaming platform ID. Foreign key. Oh no, I got that. References, excuse me. Streaming platform. Streaming platform ID. All right. I believe, let me see, make sure. Yeah. Okay. All right, I'm gonna copy that, paste it. Hopefully it works. It does. Cool. Now for my pivot tables, I don't need to add a last update or anything like that for that. I'm not gonna worry about that. Movie to actor, movie to genre, movie to director. Okay. Create table, movie to actor. Movie ID, again, that's medium int, unsigned, not null. Then actor ID, I believe that was also medium int, unsigned, and not null. Yep. Okay. So movie, now I make my constraint. And I will say FK MOV ACT, because again, it has to have this key has to have a different name. So foreign key movie ID references movie underscore ID. Constraint FK ACT MOV foreign key actor. I keep wanting to say ACOT. I don't know. Actor ID preferences actor ID. Cool. That one should work. Yep. Genre and director. Create table. Movie to genre. Movie underscore ID. Medium int. Unsigned, not null. Genre ID. I believe we used TinyInt for that. We did. And then constraint. You can kind of see what I'm doing with these foreign keys, the way that I'm writing the name of them. Underscore. Movie ID. Oh, no, I did that wrong. Let's see. There we go. Movie ID references movie ID. And constraint FK gen move foreign key genre ID references genre ID. Copy that and paste. And the last one, movie to director. Create table movie to director. Now with the pivot tables and the naming, this is how I name mine. Okay. You don't have to name it this way. If you want to name it something different, and maybe I should have said that earlier, but oh well. But I like to name it based on what it's doing, and it's connecting movie to director or movie to genre. So that's why I give it that name. You don't have to, but it's a good idea to do that. Where's director? Small int. Okay, and then add my constraints. FK MOV dir foreign key movie ID references the movie table. What are you doing? And then movie underscore ID, comma, constraint FK dir MOV foreign key director ID references director ID semicolon. Copy this and paste it. All right, cool. All of them worked. Oh, on the very first try, I didn't have any errors. Pat myself on the back because that doesn't happen too often. But there we go. There's the schema. The schema is done. Okay. The data is going to take a little longer. Oh, well. But we're going to have that done. And then, yeah, and then we'll be able to write some queries on, okay? So, and I don't right now, currently don't need to do any alterations to it. I can come over here into the SQL Server and I can say show tables. There goes all my tables. Look at there, looking good. Let's say I want to describe movie. There I describe movie, and let me fix this right here. I still got some space in there, but you can see that it does have everything in there. Cool. That worked out just fine. So yeah, check your tables. Okay. Make sure all in there. You can do a describe on one or two of them to check and make sure that it's looking good, that your everything is listed correctly. Okay, I'm going to stop the video right here, and in the next video begin doing the adding the data into the tables, probably starting off with the genre table, I guess. So I will see you on the next video.